The morning frost still clung to the pine trees when Christian Harper parked his old truck outside the log cabin he'd inherited from his father. The mountains of Colorado had become his refuge after the divorce, after the shouting, after losing custody of his son every other week. The silence was both a punishment and a balm. His days were simple. He worked as a wilderness guide, came home to the cabin, and stared at the empty chair where his son should have been. That morning, though, a note stuck out on the cabin's front door. It was scribbled on a torn napkin. Cleaned inside. Hope that's okay. Could use the work? Hannah. Christian frowned, opened the door, and found the floor swept, counters wiped, and the smell of lemon lingering in the air. He hadn't asked for a cleaner. But someone had clearly done the work, and done it well. He spotted movement in the woods later that afternoon, quick, deliberate. Not an animal. A person. Curiosity piqued, he followed the trail quietly. About a quarter-mile into the trees, near an old abandoned ranger station, he found her. She looked up from the creek she'd been kneeling beside. A woman in her early 30s, her clothes worn and her face tight with fear. Behind her, hidden among the bushes and fallen logs, were 6 children eyes wide, clothes too thin for the cold, cheeks hollow from hunger. They didn't speak. They just stared. Christian raised his hands slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you." The woman stood protectively in front of the children. "We're not trespassing. We'll move on. Please, just give us a day." "You're Hannah, right?" he asked. She stiffened. "Yes. You cleaned my cabin." "I needed the money," she said quickly. "I wasn't going to steal anything. I left a note. I needed to feed them." He looked at the kids. The oldest, maybe 11, was clutching a smaller one. One of the girls had no shoes. Another child was coughing. His heart twisted in his chest. "Come back to the cabin," he said gently. "I'll pay you to clean again. I'll make dinner. You all can eat. Then you can decide what to do tomorrow." Hannah hesitated. But hunger outweighed pride. That night, Christian cooked spaghetti and made biscuits from scratch. The kids devoured everything. Hannah ate last, tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Over the next few days, Hannah returned to clean. Christian paid her well. The kids stayed hidden in the woods, but eventually, one by one, they began to appear, first to get food, then to sit by the fire, then to help stack firewood or sweep the porch. They started to smile. To laugh. The cabin, once filled with silence and ghosts, echoed with life again. Then came the snowstorm. It hit harder than expected. Power went out. Roads closed. Christian and Hannah huddled everyone inside the cabin with only firewood and candles. The kids shared sleeping bags and blankets on the floor. Christian boiled snow for water. They rationed food. For 3 days, the storm raged. On the second night, one of the younger boys, Eli, spiked a fever. He coughed all night, delirious, sweating through his clothes. Hannah was frantic. Christian wrapped Eli in warm towels and prayed harder than he ever had in his life. In the morning, the fever broke. After the storm, the roads cleared, and with it came a new challenge, truth. Christian sat with Hannah on the porch. "Why were you hiding?" he asked softly. She looked out at the trees. "My husband, he died last year. In a car accident. No insurance. No savings. I had nowhere to go. My parents disowned me when I married him. I tried shelters, but they were full or dangerous. I didn't want to lose my kids to the system. So I ran." Christian didn't judge her. How could he? He knew what it was to feel like the world turned its back. He called a friend in Denver who worked with a church that ran family outreach programs. Quietly, they arranged legal aid, temporary housing, and job training for Hannah. But before she left the cabin, she looked at Christian with tears streaming down her face. "You saved us," she said. Christian shook his head. "You just needed a chance. anyone would have done it. No, she said. Not everyone would have fed 6 hungry kids and a desperate woman. You didn't just give us food. You gave us hope. A few weeks later, Christian received a postcard. A picture of the kids, clean and smiling, outside a small apartment building. On the back, Hannah wrote, "We have beds now. A heater. I have a job cleaning at a school. The kids are in classes. Eli wants to be a doctor. Thank you, Christian, for being our miracle." That night, as he sat by the fireplace, Christian's son, Caleb, leaned against him. "Dad," Caleb said, "can we help more people like Miss Hannah and her kids?" Christian smiled and wrapped his arm around him. "Yeah, buddy. I think we can. Because sometimes, healing doesn't come from doctors or time. Sometimes, it comes from strangers who choose kindness over judgment. From a warm meal. From an open door. From the simple belief that everyone deserves a second chance. And in giving it, we often find our own.